Barry Weiss entered Storage Wars carrying a completely different kind of energy than anyone else on the show. From the very first moment he appeared on screen, audiences were immediately captivated by his charm and style. Unlike the majority of other collectors who seemed focused only on profit and flipping storage units for cash, Barry wasn't driven by money alone. This unusual approach made viewers question his real intentions. Was he truly interested in the business, or was there something deeper behind his participation? Eventually, the way his journey on the show ended provided the answers to those doubts. But before we uncover the truth about Barry Weiss and his time on Storage Wars, it's important to first understand the man himself, his early life, career, and the path that brought him to television. Early life of Barry Weiss. Barry Weiss was born on February 11, 1959, in the busy heart of New York City. His father, Hi Weiss, was not just an ordinary working man. He was a true visionary in the music industry. Hi founded Old Town Records, a label that launched the careers of many talented artists and brought rhythm and soul into countless American homes. For young Barry, this meant his early life was surrounded by records, music, and the glittering atmosphere of entertainment. His mother, Rosalind Weiss, played a quieter but equally important role at home as a housewife. She balanced tenderness with strength, making sure that Barry and his brother, Joey Weiss, grew up not just in the shadow of fame and business, but also with strong family values, respect, and humility. From a young age, Barry displayed a restless curiosity. Unlike other boys who were content with toys, comic books, or baseball games, Barry was drawn to unusual interests. At the age of 10, he had already developed the habit of collecting things most people overlook: coins, bottle caps, postcards, and baseball cards. He carefully organized them in drawers, studying their differences as if they held hidden meaning. His parents often joked that Barry had a talent for finding treasure in things others would throw away. Weiss noticed this sharp eye for detail and considered it an artistic spark worth nurturing. At the same time, as Barry was growing up during the golden age of American car culture, it was the muscle car engines roared in every neighborhood and teenagers obsessed over horsepower and chrome. Barry would spend long afternoons hanging around garages, watching older kids work on their cars and asking questions no one expected from a boy his age. This was the seed of what would later become one of his greatest passions: automobiles. Despite his restless energy, Barry didn't neglect education. He attended a public school in Demorest, New Jersey, where teachers often described him as sharp but distracted. He was more interested in tinkering with projects, socializing, and experimenting than sitting still for textbooks. Even then, Barry showed signs of independence. If assigned to read history, he would twist the project into a story about inventors, machines, or people who broke the rules. When he should have been reading standard lessons, he would sneak in magazines about classic cars. By the time Barry turned 15, his collecting instincts had sharpened. He began frequenting flea markets, garage sales, and junk shops. Often, he was joined by his brother Joey, and together, they would ride their bikes around town or, even farther than they were supposed to, hunting for forgotten treasures. One local story recalls how the Weiss brothers once came across an old jukebox at a neighbor's garage sale. While other kids dismissed it as broken junk, Barry's eyes lit up. He persuaded Joey that they had to bring it home. For the price and managing to move it, they proudly added it to their collection, even though it didn't work at first. For Barry, owning something so rare was a victory in itself. These kinds of experiences shaped his teenage years and laid the foundation for his unique outlook. Barry's father, sharp negotiator in the recording industry, also influenced him deeply. Watching Hi Weiss conduct business at home and at the dinner table gave Barry a sense of strategy, persistence, and intuition. These lessons later proved invaluable at every auction and deal Barry pursued in life. Still, he wasn't a serious, rule-following teenager. Barry liked to stand out dressing in flashy shirts, bold jackets, and always topping it off with sunglasses. Friends remembered him as the guy who could turn any dull weekend into an adventure, whether it was sneaking into concerts, exploring junkyards for car parts, or bargaining with vendors over rare comics. By the time he was 17, Barry already knew. He wasn't destined for a typical path. He wanted to chase excitement, whether it came from music, antiques, cars, or anything unusual that most people overlooked. He later pursued higher education, attending Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, and graduating in 1981, even as a college student. He displayed his entrepreneurial streak by promoting radio stations directly from his dorm room. To strengthen his business expertise, Barry went on to earn an MBA from New York University in 1986, equipping himself with the skills to balance creativity and commerce. Barry Weiss had a truly fulfilling time during his years on Storage Wars. Not only did he make an impact, but he also became a fan favorite. What set him apart wasn't just his eccentric style or witty personality, it was the way he transformed each auction into more than just a bidding war. After securing lockers, Barry often turned the experience into a mini educational session. He would invite experts to examine the treasures he found, such as a vintage optics specialist for a rare peep show machine, a signed historian to explain the story behind an old neon artifact, a key, or a music mechanical expert to evaluate a jukebox component. These moments gave the show a distinctive edge, making it more than just entertainment. Viewers didn't just watch for the drama. They connected with Barry because they were learning something new along the way. Barry also brought a sense of camaraderie and adventure to the show. He frequently enlisted his friend Kenny Crossley, along with other buddies, to turn simple pickups into wild adventures. Their banter and antics quickly evolved into one of the best collaborations in the show's history. A simple moment, such as Kenny helping Barry with a jammed storage locker, sparked a series of comedic, heartfelt episodes that ran for multiple seasons. Barry had a gift for turning inconveniences into stories and friendships into on-screen partnerships. In many ways, he turned Storage Wars into a social ecosystem where personalities mattered as much as profits. Within just a few seasons, Barry Weiss had left a mark that would forever stand the test of time. When Barry decided to step away from Storage Wars in 2013, the show lost more than just a bidder. It lost its eccentric soul. His departure created a void that fans immediately felt, while familiar faces like Daryl Sheets, Brandy Passante, and Gerard Schultz kept the show going. The unpredictable energy that Barry brought was sorely missed, yet Barry's decision was not sudden. He had grown tired of the grueling filming schedule and longed for a return to private life. For years, he focused on his passions: car collecting, traveling the world, and enjoying the wealth he had earned from decades of hard work in the produce business. His absence only deepened his legend, sparking whispers and speculation about a possible comeback in 2014. Barry briefly returned with a spin-off series called Buried Treasure, where he traveled across the country in search of rare collectibles. While the show offered fans more of Barry's personality and humor, it lacked the same magic as his role on Storage Wars and only lasted one season. After that, Barry retreated from television altogether, leaving fans to wonder if he was done with the cameras for good. Some claimed he had retired permanently, while others believed he was quietly negotiating a return. The truth, however, was simpler. Barry was enjoying life on his own terms. Everything changed in 2019, when Barry was involved in a devastating motorcycle accident. He suffered multiple injuries, including broken bones in his back and chest, and spent months undergoing surgeries and rehabilitation. The incident forced him into a slower lifestyle, but it also brought him back into the public spotlight. Fans from around the world flooded social media with prayers and well wishes. The experience made Barry reevaluate his relationship with fame, with the audience who adored him, and with the show that had made him a household name. By 2021, the whispers of his return became a reality. Storage Wars entered its 13th season, and producers orchestrated Barry's comeback as a surprise. His arrival was nothing short of iconic. Rolling up to the auction in a flashy classic car, with his signature sunglasses and mischievous grin, Barry reminded everyone why he was the heart of the show. His return wasn't about proving himself as the best bidder. Barry had never been the type to outmuscle Daryl or outwit Dave Hester. His role was about curiosity, fun, and unpredictability. Fans erupted with nostalgia and joy as his presence breathed new energy into the series. Barry's comeback carried deep symbolic weight. After surviving such a serious accident, stepping back into Storage Wars was a statement that he was not done living boldly. His guest appearances didn't just add entertainment, they inspired viewers with a message of resilience. Though he never rejoined as a permanent cast member, his occasional appearances became special events. Each time he returned, the dynamic of the show shifted. Fans tuned in not just for the auctions, but for the laughter, surprises, and wild discoveries that only Barry could bring. In interviews, Barry reflected on his unexpected TV journey with humor and gratitude. He often admitted he never planned on becoming a reality star, had just happened by chance. Yet the overwhelming affection of fans eventually pulled him back. His story came full circle. He entered the series as a collector treating auctions. As adventures left at the peak of his popularity and returned years later with renewed perspective. Barry showed that what people treasure most isn't always the money or the finds, it's the personalities, the stories, and the human connections. Outside of television, Barry Weiss has lived a fascinating but deeply private life to fans. He seemed like the fun uncle or charming neighbor with endless stories and a playful wit. Yet away from the cameras, Barry was far more reserved. One of the most intriguing aspects of his personal life has been his history with romance. Though he was once married decades ago, the marriage ended long before his television fame, and Barry never remarried. This decision sparked speculation. Was it heartbreak, independence, or simply his preference for freedom? Friends often said Barry was never one to be tied down. He valued companionship, yes, but he cherished his independence even more, though. Rumors occasionally linked him to different women. Barry kept his private life out of the spotlight. Unlike many reality stars, he never used his relationships for publicity. Preferring to keep his personal affairs old school, what happens privately stays private. Barry also has 2 children, Julie and Jack Weiss. Unlike their father, both chose lives away from the public eye. While Barry rarely mentioned them on screen, he spoke of them warmly in interviews, often joking that they found his TV fame amusing, but had no interest in the limelight themselves. In 2015, Barry became a grandfather to a boy named Oliver. Though he never shared photos publicly, friends said the role softened him in surprising ways. Known as the eccentric collector to the world, Barry embraced being Grandpa Barry in private, cherishing the innocence and joy his grandson brought. If Barry kept his family life understated, his hobbies and passions were the complete opposite. He lived boldly and extravagantly. Cars were his greatest obsession. His garage was more like a museum, featuring rare models, custom hot rods, and classic gems like a 1947 Cowboy Cadillac and a 1939 Lincoln Zephyr. His collection alone was valued at around $500,000, though many believed it could be worth much more. Barry also loved motorcycles, often cruising through Los Angeles on custom bikes, always in his signature leather jacket and sunglasses. Alongside cars and bikes, Barry was an avid traveler. Long before television, he had spent years exploring different cultures, collecting artifacts, and building stories that later colored his eccentric personality. Though flashy in many ways, Barry also had a softer side. He enjoyed gardening, finding peace in working with plants. His eclectic mix of passions from cars and music to antiques and gardening made him a man of fascinating contrasts. Financially, Barry Weiss is estimated to be worth around $10 million. Most of his fortune came long before Storage Wars. He and his brother Joey ran a successful produce business, Northern Produce, in Southern California for over 25 years, serving restaurants, grocery chains, and export clients. The company gave Barry the financial freedom to retire early and pursue his love for collecting. His television career added to that wealth, with reports suggesting he earned between $10,000 and $15,000 per episode of Storage Wars. Spin-offs, appearances, and sponsorships added even more. He also owns a stunning 4-bedroom Spanish Mediterranean mansion in Los Angeles' Laughlin Park, valued at several $1 million. Between his real estate, car collection, antiques, and produce fortune, Barry's wealth is structured across stable assets that reflect both practicality and passion. Even in his mid-60s, Barry Weiss continues to live life fully, embracing extravagance, humor, and adventure. He is a man who turned auctions into stories, inconveniences into friendships, and setbacks into comebacks.
Ow.
To fans of Storage Wars, he remains more than just a collector. He is a legend whose charm and curiosity can never truly be replaced.